Okay, so it's been 3 days since that shocking revelation. In essence, the SEC and Ripple told them to throw their appeals in the garbage and said, you know what, we're done here. Officially, 5 years of legal upheaval are behind us. Additionally, we have a fascinating update from Crypto Law US that is worth dissecting. Let's discuss the elephant in the room, though. This fantastic chance is just in front of XRP. It's crazy how much venom has been directed toward XRP lately. Bitcoin acolytes are going crazy, and there are a lot of other people who simply cannot tolerate XRP's existence. And why? Due to the fact that they are all rushing to outrun Ripple before it's too late. The amusing thing is that Ripple isn't even making an effort to compete with these individuals. In the meantime, they're all frantically attempting to be the first to cross the finish line. It's not going well for them. Spoiler alert. There's no better example than Caitlin Long. She's there with Custodia Bank, attempting to win the game of digital asset banking. It's a completely different strategy from Ripple's, yet she's working toward the same objective. The issue is that Ripple is already miles ahead of her, and she is just spinning her wheels. The worst part is that she is furious that Ripple also put their hat in the ring for a license. In fact, that drama will be discussed later in this film. The most absurd aspect of all of this, though, is that after everything that has happened, people are still disparaging XRP and Ripple. Folks, we're talking 5 years later. Let's take a quick look back. Do you recall the initial announcement of this entire mess? Man, everybody and their mother was disparaging Ripple and dumping on XRP. When the lawsuit was dropped, people were actually popping champagne. Vitalik Buterin even celebrated the SEC's pursuit of Ripple. Do you think that's possible? The amount of change is astounding. What's really bothering me, though, is this. All of this poisonous animosity toward XRP and Ripple is still present. Like, really? Why are people still behaving this way after we've come this far? Why we can't all stand back and enjoy what just transpired here is beyond me. The SEC was just outplayed by a large corporation. One of the most spectacular court battles in cryptocurrency history was recently won by XRP, a digital currency that ought to be freely accessible for everyone to purchase, sell, and exchange. Folks, this was no ordinary court case. This was the beginning of a war that would be discussed for years or even decades to come. We are indeed experiencing a time that will eventually be documented in textbooks. I'm just baffled by this situation. Why don't we all view this as a huge victory for the cryptocurrency sector as a whole? Because this is what no one wants to acknowledge. Ripple was fighting for more than just themselves as they squared off against the SEC. They were defending us all. And everyone in our area benefits from those successes. Who wants to give them credit, though? No. Speaking of victories, our document library recently received another significant piece of news. Ripple's bad actor disqualification was just waived by the SEC. Here's the thing. Following the Toro ruling, the SEC vigorously contested this. They are essentially rolling over now and declaring, okay, fine, you win. The wins simply keep piling up. In case you're wondering what this really implies, Johnny Deaton provided an excellent explanation. In private markets, Ripple can continue to raise capital. One could even compare it to pressing the reset button, as though the $125 million fine and the entire lawsuit simply disappeared. This is just what we wanted to happen. However, this is where the future of XRP becomes really intriguing. Hold on. Even though some individuals are already complaining that this will put greater pressure on XRP's sales, let's take a new approach to this. Consider ROUSD as an example. Since that is now bringing in actual money for Ripple, they are no longer required to dump XRP as they once did, merely to maintain the lights. However, this is when everything starts to get completely crazy. Now that Ripple is spotless, we can return to their application for a national bank charter. And that's precisely the reason why Ripple is making people go crazy all over again. They didn't anticipate this. They assumed that this legal ordeal would never end. To be honest, I doubt that these individuals really thought the lawsuit would ever be resolved, much less that Ripple would emerge victorious. However, the case is now closed. And everyone is now rushing, because to Ripple's upcoming actions. Let's go back in time to July 2nd. At that point, Ripple withdrew its application to the OCC for a national bank charter license. In the event that they succeed, we will be witnessing something that has never been seen before. Both federal and state supervision would be in place via the Department of Financial Services in New York. For the stablecoin world, that would be equivalent to wearing a bulletproof vest composed of trust. As a result, Ripple and ROUSD would essentially soar into the sky, entirely isolated from any other significant participants in the stablecoin market. We're discussing functioning on an entirely separate planet, not just slightly outperforming the competitors. And they didn't end there either. In addition to everything else, they also applied for a FedMaster account. Consider the sheer craziness of this situation. From orbit, Ripple would essentially destroy the entire competition. They would be operating under rules that are inaccessible to others. Bringing a rocket launcher to a knife fight is analogous to that. And what do you know? I'm acting as though I'm speaking. I sincerely believe that the OCC will approve of this entire endeavor. The Fed Master Account application is no different. We're talking about our LUSD reserves residing directly with the Fed once that happens. I hope this was enjoyable to all of you. If so, please hit the like button, subscribe, and enable notifications so that you can receive future free content. I appreciate everyone watching. Goodbye.